hopefully do your work, Lord. Work into our hearts and into the wisdom of our minds, Lord, and bless this council as it leads this community, Father. We love you and praise you. Amen.
We'll call this meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Forgot my clipboard. Nobody signed in. Nobody want to talk to me tonight.
Nobody wants to.
6:02. Roll call.
Mayor Hicks,
Present.
Councilor Reynolds,
Here.
Councilor Vasquez,
Here.
Councilor Lucero,
Here.
Councilor Padilla.
Fred will not be here tonight. Will you please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hoorah. Approval of the agenda. We didn't take anything off. We didn't change anything. Everybody's good with the agenda? I'm good with the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second.
Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Council Vasquez? Council Lucero? Nobody's here to address the council tonight. Anybody out there want to say anything?
Aye.
There you go, thank you. Public comment and discussion on charter compliance or not in compliance with the charter, we all are aware of that. Approval of the regular city council meeting minutes, we have horses instead of hoses, is that what you said?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, nobody talked about horses last week.
I had horses on the mind.
Yeah, we live in Seth, that's okay, we understand that.
Right.
Okay, so I'll accept the motion to approve the minutes with that correction.
Make a motion.
Second,
Second.
Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Council Vasquez?
Yes.
Council Lucero?
Yes.
Bola Arts Council Services Lease Agreement.
So, the agreement that we have in place for the Arts Council is expiring, and we need to renew that service agreement. I have a sample draft in your packet for
This is
a
saying-
service contract and then also the lease agreement. The service contract on page 1 lists a scope of services that the council would provide for the city in order to receive funding. I am recommending $45,000 to the council, and then in the lease agreement, I'm recommending a lease rent of $1,000 per month.
Is that 45 grand include lodger's tax?
No.
No.
And I can't remember, but typically they ask for about $8,000 from lodgers tax. Yes, and they do some outstanding work, some traveling exhibits that they take around the community.
And that's not an increase from last year?
This that I have in here,
45
it
grand?
is an increase.
How much?
It went going from 38,000 to 45. They haven't had an increase for quite a few years.
But there's not a single person here from the Arts Council?
Yes, Robert.
Bobby, get up and talk to us, buddy. Tell me why you need $8,000 more.
Actually, I'd have been here a little bit sooner, but I just left the library board meeting.
Cool, welcome to the library board. How you like
I
that?
go from board meeting to board meeting.
And you thought you got unelected?
Anyway, where are you at?
We're on the agreement. Laura says she's upping you from 38 to 45?
That's correct. I read through the agreement. The agreement's a good agreement. As Laura was saying, we haven't received an increase in 5 years. And we still see the same amount of people, about 3,000 people a year. We provide pretty close to 70 different events. In other words, I've got a breakdown of events here, and it's been pretty consistent, like I said. For example, last year, we had 7 adult exhibits, 11 student exhibits, 34 workshops. We had additional concerts, movie, book signings, for a total of 62 events. Over the past 4 years, we've had a total of 279 events. So consistently, we average about 70 events a year. And we have approximately 3,000 people come through our doors every year.
You got any of your board members here?
What's that?
Are any of your board members present here?
No, in fact, I just found out last week when Laura sent me a copy of the contract.
Questions? Anybody got questions? Sydney? Manny? Rick? No? What's the pleasure of the council?
I make the motion.
Go ahead, spit it out.
Right there. See,
45 grand.
$45,000 for date,
Service.
service. I already took my paper out. For Cibolo Arts Services and the lease agreement.
Second.
I second.
Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Council Vasquez? Council Lucero?
Yes.
Here you go, Bobby.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your support.
Fix my
Pardon?
baskets.
Okay. I'll speak with John about that.
Speak to him about that. I'm not really.
By the way, we're getting 5
I
more
love the way they
baskets.
came out, but I'm just not happy with the way that went down.
Yeah, you don't like the center,
You know what?
missing centerpiece.
Yeah, we've had that discussion, so have that with him, and if he'd like to talk to me about it, I'd love to speak to him about it,
I will make sure that Mr. Badal knows about your concerns.
okay?
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, Bobby.
I'm glad I made it in time, or right at the wire.
I'm glad you took the job on the library board. It's nice to have active members, buddy.
Yeah, the library board just happens to be a little bit concerned about the roof right now, but that's a different matter
We'll
altogether.
take care of that roof.
Bobby, when do the movies start for the summer?
We'll probably do something a little different. Last year we did movies on Route 66, and that was pretty successful. So we'll continue something like that. You know, we showed movies like Ace in the Hole, which was filmed over near Gallup. We did Lone Air the Brave, which was filmed around Albuquerque. Actually, Ace in the Hole shot some footage over at the village of Laguna. But most of the movie was, I think, about 14 miles west of Gallup. Oh, in addition to that, Laura, wasn't there something about the rent? Rent is now going to be $1,000 a month?
Yes,
All right, thank you very much, I appreciate that.
you're welcome.
All right. Anything else?
No?
No, we look forward to working with you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah.
Wilson and Company.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Tonight, want to give you an update before you entertain the item on your agenda packet there. We put together a brief presentation, there's only 7 slides. Give you a little bit of a background summary, the capital projects in 2019, go over schedule, construction cost, open it up for questions. The city, Wilson and Company's been working with the city in planning, funding assistance, design and construction programming for a number of streets this year. There seems to be more than usual. We have 5 major capital projects that will be letting out for advertisement this upcoming month in May. Some will also, the majority will let out in June. So you're going to start to see some construction activity. First Street, which goes from Washington to Adams, we call that Phase 2. That's been fully funded by the DOT. Through the local government road fund, there is a 75% match on behalf of the city to complete that. It's about a total of a $2 million project. When we talk about project, we're not just talking construction, we're talking total cost. All of your construction, JRT, soft costs that are associated with it, such as construction management. Second Street, which goes from Washington to Roosevelt. As you know, there's a couple of phases there. Part of it is also funded similar to First Street through the local government road fund. then the second portion that this council has agreed to fund themselves in order to be able to finish the full stretch. Excuse me. The Roosevelt sidewalk, that's a city-led project, fully funded by the city, about $200,000 that have been budgeted by this council last fiscal cycle. The sidewalk will be located on the north end of Roosevelt. It will extend from First Street to Lobo Canyon. When we're talking about sidewalks, we have to also be self-aware that there are some dry paths we need to work through, so we've got to also replace those. We have to provide ADA accessibility, so we do have some wheelchair ramps. And then there's some power poles out there that we have to mitigate and some fencing, so that project will also go out to construction this summer.
On that one, make sure you get with the DOT, because they're supposed to be looking at that east end there at Lobo Canyon Road to fix some type of crossing there for people going to Smith's from the senior center. Right before we get somebody killed over there. I've been bitching about this for almost 3 years now, and we still haven't got a dang thing done. And I've talked to the DOT, what is he, our commissioner, the District 6 commissioner?
Mr. Moore?
No, Mr. Moore ain't it, no more. He
Correct.
was. I spoke to him first, it's now lunchtime. I spoke to him just the other day about
Okay.
this. So make sure we're on this. I mean, we're gonna get somebody hit by a car over there,
Yes, sir.
and then the state's gonna get sued and the city's gonna get sued, because we're aware of the problem and a damn thing hasn't happened with it yet.
So just for my clarity, it's from Lobo Canyon, going from the west side to the east side, making the connection into the shopping center
Yes.
across the street. Okay.
And what we're looking at is something more direct, where they don't have to come down to the stoplight to cross that road there.
Mayor, at the last RTPO meeting, I was advised of, they're starting to look at design and a whole redo at that intersection of Lobo Canyon
Okay.
and Roosevelt. So just FYI, it may take a while, but
I mean, and that's my point, it's been 2 years now, and all it's doing is,
yeah.
We can ask them for a schedule,
yeah, please, I mean,
so we
because
can share with the council.
it's just like the more we put it off, shoot, I'm gonna be dead before this thing's ever gets done, okay?
Yes, sir.
And I've been pushing for it for almost 3 years now, and it needs to happen, it should have already happened.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. The Second Street CBC culverts, we show in there it's about bid alt, plus the additive alternate. What that means is that we have a base bid. We know we can afford at least one culvert. We're pricing out 2 culverts. Let me back up a little bit. The Second Street CBC culverts, this is part of an MOU that the city has with the school district to mitigate drainage, what we call regional drainage. The Second Street channel, which parallels the roadway, is on the west side. We've got several ponds that are located.
Now, we're gonna put box culverts there, right?
That is correct.
We're not gonna do those round ones that get collapsed that are there now, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
There's a channel that will be constructed in the future. And so we've got these crossings that will tie into the school. The first package will go out this year. It is co-funded by both the city and the school district. And in this last funding cycle, by the way, in 2019, the subsequent application also went in from both the city and the school district, similar co-op, to continue moving this project forward. So
This is
so
all
just
gonna
wanted to-
tie in with the trail going around the high school at the same
Yes, sir.
time, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then finally, the Jefferson Storm Drain from Smith Street to Grants Arroyo, that's a clean water state revolving loan fund project that's being funded, and so those 5 projects will all go out to construction. Also want to point out that in working with Dawn, we're going to be putting together information that you can post on your website. When construction begins to occur, we'll do door hangers. We're going to put as much information out there to the public as we can, so that if there's concerns, we get those concerns early. We're really working to be proactive and less reactive during construction. We're looking at a 7-month total construction schedule, again, because we really are counting from June to December, but the activities, the slow portion of the activities, putting projects out on the street and advertising those will commence in May and go into June. And so we've got about a 7.5 month time frame, concluding everything at the end of the year. Makes sense, we're beating the winter season. Last bullet, just wanted to put up there that in the past, some questions have been raised, how selection made with the consultant. We're one of 2 consultants for the city under the qualification-based election. The state statute is provided up there for your knowledge. Sometimes that information for some may be useful. I'm going to turn off the lights for just a little bit here. I wanted to put this map up there, still not very clear, but you can see on the upper left on the diagonals, you can see 2nd Street and 1st Street parallel each other. That's where part of the work is going to be occurring. Jefferson is in blue here going left, right, and then you've got a pond. That work will start this summer as well. And then we talked about the 2nd Street boxes, which will go along the school there. And then, of course, Roosevelt is not on the map. It's north of the map there.
Now this structure right here, you guys realize they're giving us everything up to power line, right?
I'm glad you brought that up. That particular project just got funded for design. And so those details, Mayor and Council, we will be bringing those
That's
once.
part of, Donald, that's part of that exchange on that north end up there between Los Alamitos Heights and,
Yeah.
okay? But that, they're giving us all the way from that ditch, Mario, all the way to the power line,
Good.
to the ditch, to the corner. So
Yes.
make sure that you include that in your design.
Yes, yeah. And, well, thank you. And the discussion that's been had here, Mayor and Council, is that because of the large area, because of the shallow groundwater, there's an opportunity here to create a bit of a water quality oxbow, if you will. We're doing something very similar down by the Rio Grande.
And that's something else that I've been kicking around with the Forest Service and these other guys, and we need to have probably some hearings on it. The way the 2 channels come in here to here, and from here to here, if we were to take it and just right there at the end of the power lines, take all that ditch out, and all the way over here to where that little bridge is that goes to the school, and take all that ditch out and build the berm here, and open all that up and turn it back into a natural floodplain. Dig it all the way out, down, and turn it back into a natural floodplain.
It's, yeah, it becomes an outdoor recreation activity.
Well, not only that, you could use it as a science fair for the school and future foundations right out the back door. Because the frogs will come back, the birds will come back, the cattails will come back, everything will come back that we are currently destroying and tearing out every other year when we clean the ditches. And that would be one whole section that we wouldn't have to clear no more, that would turn back into a natural hell, a bird watcher sanctuary.
That's
You know,
correct.
I mean, I know when I was a kid, it was open, those ditches didn't exist. And, I mean, it was amazing what was back there. We used to go back there and disappear.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Mayor. So one of the, I guess a piece of knowledge here is that these particular man-made arroyos discharge into the Rio Puerco, which
Yes.
for New Mexico is the most impaired tributary. That's a fancy way of saying that that's
They
actually the
won't want to
dirtiest.
get to it.
That's the dirtiest stream that goes into the Rio Grande. And that's because of the mining that's occurred in this part of the state over the years. So the discussion, your point to be made here is that if we take advantage and create a bird sanctuary here, what we're really doing is allowing water to come in. We're reducing the velocity to almost zero, right? Because it becomes a bit of a natural swamp or lake, and that allows us to use it as a water treatment. It's a water quality feature before we continue to discharge downstream. And then turn it into a recreational amenity for many, many other outdoor uses. So it's a great area to be thinking about what you were just pointing out. Let me go to the next slide. So really here, what you're going to see is we have the month of June. As you see me point out on the laser, here's the 5 projects that are ongoing. You can see the blue lines, they're a bit staggered. Ultimately, what's important is we're closing most of the projects out in late November, first part of December. By closing out, we're doing all the closeout paperwork and documentation that's required by the various funding agencies. All the heavy activity in terms of digging down in the ground, putting any underground infrastructure, laying down asphalt, doing concrete work. We want to do all of that work prior to the end of October for weather consideration reasons. That's really what the schedule is showing you there. Collectively, we're looking at about $5.6 million in total construction costs. We've put together a task order before you for consideration that generally looks at a couple of key items. An estimated savings of 30% by running these projects within a 7-month window. We do that by allowing 2 full-time observers on site 5 days a week. The engineer of record for the design will be assigned to support during construction, as well as a field engineer. And a field engineer is a little different than a design engineer, and that is that the field engineer is really supporting the LGRF requirements for construction management. There's certain things that they require. There's a handbook that we utilize, but making sure that the proper testing frequency is being done, that we're looking at our traffic control logs, that we're looking at all the various requirements to be able to construct the project, because ultimately, that funding gets audited. Right? You heard me, it's a 75-25, so the state has very strict rules, and it's our job to ensure that we're complying with the rules. And by the way, those rules, you agree to them in a cooperative agreement. You actually have a legal document that the state signs and you sign, so you're bound by contract to abide by those rules. So that's really what the role of the field engineer is to ensure that we're complying with all of the requirements. By the way, before I forget, I did bring Chris Fidel with me here tonight. Chris heads the construction management in our office. He's also got about 26 years with our office, worked with the DOT, but he's got just tremendous knowledge when it comes to construction management side of things, and so I asked him to be here tonight. I also wanted to point out the efficient oversight. The reality is this, 2 full-time construction observers, the larger activities are going to be occurring on 1st Street and 2nd Street because we're working adjacent to businesses, residents. We have been, during the design, coordinating with the school district to ensure that traffic control is maintained open, to make sure that we understand their special events, their sports. Once that starts, we got to keep that open, make sure that it's safe. And so it's very important that we have staff available, but at the same time, we're not duplicating efforts. Typically, what would happen is, for every project, you would have a task order contract to provide the construction management. However, when you have the ability to schedule everything within a 7-month period and assign these personnel, then they eliminate some of the duplication and effort. When we set up construction progress meetings, we can take advantage of setting key meetings in the morning and in the afternoon to keep things efficient and lean, provide full-time coverage, also gives the city a single point of contact, which ultimately results in accountability and responsiveness. So that's really when we're talking about cost. So with that, I or Chris will answer any questions.
Questions? Rick?
When is the First Street Phase 3 going to start? When's that scheduled?
So 1st Street and 2nd Street will both advertise in June. They'll advertise in June, okay? And so we're looking to get those back out. It's got to come back for council. The engineer will make a recommendation and word of approval. We'll work with staff. We'd like to get them out as soon as possible. We may even ask for a special meeting, but no later than right after the 4th of July holiday.
You say that's going to take 7 months to complete?
No, it's 7 months for all the projects.
For all the projects?
Yeah. Oops, I'm sorry. Let's see. So 2nd Street, well, the first one is the CBC structures, but if you look at 2nd Street, that's the bottom one. It's extending from the time we're bidding in June through about November, we say November 8th, so these are approximate dates. 1st Street, we're looking also from June to about November 8th, but ultimately we close the projects out in December. And that's the message for the public, right? We don't want to overpromise and not deliver. We want to make sure that we have enough time in there so that we can close these projects out.
That's it on mine.
Manny?
I'm fine.
Sidney? Here's my deal with construction management, Monty.
Yes, sir.
We had a lack of it when Salas Brothers did the bridge at Roosevelt and the road up to El Cafecito, and it shows. The road is 3 years old and it's coming apart. They poured the wrong concrete on the bridge and we had to rip the concrete out and redo it. I was not very happy with that back then. Of course, I wasn't the mayor then. And we didn't pay for construction management.
Right.
I have no problem paying for it, but I want somebody there when they're doing the work.
Absolutely.
Another example I have on lack of construction management is the last bridge we did. The approach is on both sides. When you hit the front of that bridge, it's like taking off the front end of your vehicle. And we need to do something there, Donald. Down there by Harry's, that bridge there, the approach is on both sides. When you hit, it's almost like this one right here on Santa Fe Avenue. And we gotta give it a DOT on that one too. Yeah, because it's just insane. And that's what I'm saying, is we're gonna pay for this. I want somebody there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we will look at George.
'Cause I don't have a problem paying for construction management, guys, especially what happened on Roosevelt Project. And you drive down that road now, and I want to throw up every time I go across that bridge. Because that road isn't even 4 years old, and it's already, we're gonna end up having to tear it out and redo it. Just because of the poor quality of work that was done. And if you remember, I voted against Saul's brother even getting that project.
I do.
Okay. I mean, so, that was a long time ago. What's the pleasure of the council? Somebody's got to oversee the project, guys.
Absolutely, yes. Well, I make a motion to approve the funding for
All 5 projects.
all 5 projects. Can we do it all 5 at one time?
Yes, sir.
For all 5 projects, for the total cost of, how much was it? 356?
356 or 358, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
356.
356,873 and 22 cents, excluding New Mexico gross receipt tax.
I second.
Council Reynolds,
Yes.
Council Vasquez, Council Lucero.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Ma'am, David. Funding opportunity, HB 694. House bill, what is that one on, Mario?
So Mayor and Council, we're here to give you an update. This legislative session, many of you probably recall that there was about just under shy of $1 billion in capital outlay that was appropriated. One of the programs that is new to the state this year that the new cabinet secretary was really pushing for is this new House Bill 694. And what I've done is I put really the language of the act up here. That's why it's capitalized. It says it's relating to the public peace, health, safety, and welfare, providing definitions, creating the local government transportation project fund. So that's the program, local government transportation project fund. Providing for distributions, for local government transportation infrastructures. And we'll talk a little bit about what that is. But this year they appropriated $33 million to the state. The program funding is a little different than the LGRF 75-25. In this particular case, it's a 95% grant, 5% match. It defines what infrastructure means. That's important because now we understand what qualifies. It's highways, streets, roadways, bridges, crossing structures, parking facilities, including all areas for vehicular use for travel, ingress, egress, parking. That's the way the bill is written. So that's taken straight off the bill. We've had a couple of meetings now, one-on-one with the cabinet secretary. It's become very clear that the state is looking for shovel-ready. It's got to be shovel-ready. The money cannot be sitting on the consulting side, working on design. They want people to get to work. So in working with staff, we've talked about what do we have shovel-ready. Well, we have other phases. You just saw me present some of the phases. Well, there's other phases beyond that. Second Street Channel has 2 more CBC structures that we need funded for construction. So these are options. This council can say, nope, I saw that presentation, I don't agree with it. This is information only. You're not making a decision. But you do have design now for Second Street Channel and CBC structures. And then Washington Avenue roadway drainage. The New Mexico NMFA Water Trust Board is funding the design, but we don't have construction funding. So you're going to have this design ready by the end of the year.
Does that include the bridge on Washington next to Future Foundations?
It does not. It includes.
That bridge is falling apart.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to include that one in there. And sitting here with you guys, I think that's a great one to go after. That's the last, basically, the last bridge we have to do besides Santa Fe Avenue. in this
And
town.
Roosevelt, yeah,
And
Roosevelt,
And Roosevelt's coming in.
right.
Right.
Yeah, so we can work on that and make sure that,
I mean,
What,
that's.
what did
that
you
makes
have
more
in mind,
sense.
Mario? Did you have some projects that you think we could move forward?
well, these right now, Second Street, you definitely have design, and it's fully funded, right? Washington Road and drainage is fully funded, what's not funded is the bridge portion. But if the council wants to add it, it's more cost effective to add it now because you're doing all the geotech anyway. We gotta go do the survey anyway. It's just environmental, it's much more cost effective, so we can work with staff and bring that back. So it'll be some design the council would have to approve,
Especially if we tie it into what we're doing over there now.
yes.
Okay, because we're doing the flood control project there now. And if we do the bridge at the same time, it cuts cost, everything's mobilized.
Upstream from Nimitz, it's the next bridge.
And it's
Yeah.
upstream from Nimitz, yeah.
And I mean, it just, and then the next one is Roosevelt, and we've done with all of them,
Yes,
except for Santa Fe Avenue.
right.
So do we have to qualify as hardship?
We can submit a hardship when it comes out. Right now, the timeline, I didn't put it up there. I didn't because it's just, it was a conversation. The conversation with the secretary was that June 15th through July 15th is the current estimated call for projects. So in about 6 weeks from now, the city should be receiving a letter calling for projects. Right now, we would say these two, we would amend the bottom one to say and bridge, right? And if there's more than that, this council just needs to direct staff and we'll make sure. we
Those
take
are
care
the
of
box culverts for the going into the school right now, right?
and the channel. We're gonna ask for the channel too. Or the- Yeah.
So do you have
Let's
an
do it.
idea of what kind of awards they might give out?
No, I do not. I do not. What I can tell you is that a lot of the, because we do work across the state, there's not, this community has done a really good job of planning and design ahead of time.
This is what I was told by Harry yesterday. The money that's coming, there are not a lot of communities that have shovel-ready projects.
Correct.
And what they're gonna do is they're gonna divide it up amongst the communities that have shovel-ready projects. Flood control and sewer systems are gonna be your number ones. They're gonna get the money. This is right out of Harry's mouth, yesterday, we're talking about the sign over here. So,
I know the COG
it
contacted
makes
us
sense, man.
last week and we were there on
It makes
Friday.
sense to go that route.
And they've been asking consultants, how do we reduce the bureaucracy? How do we remove the red tape? Those are words they're using. And so they've taken our feedback and presented to DOT, and DOT's drafting some guidelines. We don't want to devalue what mechanisms are in place now, but what we are looking to do is be wise, be practical in delivering these projects because they want construction. They don't want projects being designed for a year. They want them to get out and start building.
So as I see it now, we're pretty much shovel ready on all our projects.
Correct.
And this would be a good time to move on that and take advantage of our state to give us money for the flood control.
Yes.
If that's what they want, I think we need to move on this.
And with the gas prices up, guys, we're looking at another surplus for next year. But after that is when her new Green Deal kicks in. And that's when things are gonna start to fall off. And then that's when we're gonna have to start finding out and pay for stuff again.
I say we need to move on this now.
That's right.
Let's do it.
This year, next year. All the money's there.
So just, we'll conclude with this slide. The schedule, so you're aware. We talked about what's been communicated verbally is June to July 15th. There'll be about a 30-day call for projects. August 1st, this is language straight out of the act, right out of the legislation. By August 1st, they have to submit the priority list, the cabinet secretary does that. And by September 1st, they've got an award list this year. And so money's gonna move very quickly. You're gonna see
Exactly what
money
the
move out.
legislature's telling us.
So that concludes that presentation. Are there any questions, thoughts, comments?
I like the idea of getting that bridge along with that flood control project. I really do. Kind of take care of that whole problem down there at one time. So that's the direction.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Next.
Number 6, you have a resolution in your packet for an extension on time for the River Rock Trail project. The funding cycle or the funding criteria expires in June, so we want to extend it to the following June to be safe. The project is out for bid right now, and soon the staff and the engineers will be selecting a company to do the construction of the trail, but we want to extend the deadline just to be safe. Give us enough time.
Just to be
do
safe.
Everything.
We've been through hell to get us to this point, we don't want to lose it now. I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution for an extension if needed.
I make a motion.
Second.
A second.
Counselor Reynolds,
No.
Counselor Vasquez, Counselor Lucero.
Yes.
And let the record show that Mayor Hicks does support this. Okay, thank you guys.
Been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming for this project. CES contract to rebuild, reroute the old Silver sewer line on Silver Street.
Mayor, council, I'm asking for $75,697.91 to abandon and replace the old sewer line that runs right through this alley from Silver Street, runs through the parking lot of the bank, underneath the post office parking lot, through Fire and Ice, and into City Hall, turns and comes down here to High Street. What we believe has happened is two things that have created a smell. Already I got some complaints tonight about the smell, and so what's happened is every time we've excavated that line in the middle of the park, we haven't found the line. And what we found is
Because it's not there, Mark, it's gone.
it's gone. And so through
It's disintegrating.
the years, we've been attaching more and more businesses all the way along to High Street, and that's become the main trunk. But there are still enough businesses to keep some liquid. It turns to an anaerobic state, creates hydrogen sulfide, and that's the rotten egg smell we get. So the first place it escapes is right here at the corner, right in front, and right in front in the fire department. So to get a contractor to do it, what we have to do is we have to reverse the flow from Silver Street to flow into High Street. So that means redoing that main sewer line and doing the bank and a few other things. I've recommended that we go through CES and we use Smithco, and their quote is attached in your packet.
And that's the 75 grand?
That's correct, yes sir.
697.91.
Yes sir.
Does that include tax?
It does include tax, yes sir.
Questions? Cindy?
Will this fix the situation?
Yes. There's another small situation, but
We're working on that one too.
we're working on that
That
one.
one's not gonna be nowhere as big as this one.
That'll be much easier.
Manny?
Yes.
Rick, you got questions? No. I'll entertain a motion to approve the $75,697.91 to CES for Smithco to reroute that sewer line. So,
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
second.
Second.
Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Council Vasquez? Council Lucero?
Yes.
Who?
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
CES contract to install the new pump station on Fifth Street.
Excellent. So it's not February, but I am requesting $90,541.17 to install and fully equip a pump station that will alleviate the flooding that occurs around Fifth Street Bridge. This is not going to be a permanent fix. Permanent fix, PER, to look at what a 100-year flood would be able to situate. Just the PER would be in the $20,000 to $40,000 range, just to talk about the options. This is
We've
not,
got the 100-year flood deal on the master drain plan, dude.
I understand, and this pump station will not match
No,
what's,
there's nothing in this town. If we get a 100-year storm event, okay, City Hall's gonna be underwater.
yes, sir.
Make no doubt about it.
So I
Church is
just,
gonna be underwater, okay?
I just want the council to be perfectly aware this is not going to,
And we're not
but
gonna spend no 40 grand to tell us that. We already know that.
we,
If
So-
God wants to drown us, that's what's gonna happen.
Mark, is this including the pump from the lift station, Walmart lift station or whatever?
so I really wanted to go that way because I believed that it would save money. And so I've talked to 2 engineers, I've talked to the flight representative, and all 3 of them have advised against using that. For a couple reasons. I won't get into all the nitty gritty, but those pumps have a grinder on the bottom with really small 2-inch hole and a grinder situation. If a pebble gets caught in there, that grinder will get caught and the guys will be pulling out the whole pump. And because of all the sand and all the rocks, I've taken sand, it would get clogged up pretty frequently. So.
Like every time it rains.
Yes, and so so there's another reason, and probably the bigger reason is we already have 480 power to there, and so the pumps that we will be using on the large application, they're 480. And so we would save money by the electricity. The cost that you see, the reason why it changed from 72-ish to this is we did save money on electrical, but I am asking with this price for a second pump. So we have one on the shelf. Yep,
So that's why it's 90,541.
that's correct. And that's why it switched from what you,
That's great. I just want, and we did budget for this, right? Last year? Okay. Questions? Sydney?
No.
Manny?
Okay, I do on those pumps. You replaced those pumps at the 2 lift stations. So we don't have the matching electricity down there. You wouldn't be swapping pumps all the time. So what did we do with the 2 pumps that we got out of there?
we have 3 grinder pumps. So I approached Edward, we're getting a hold of other Jacobs facilities to see if they can use them and maybe we can sell them because we have 2 brand new 1-use pump.
Okay, but in an emergency, let's just say the big one, the new one goes out. Wouldn't it be a smart idea to keep one just in case? Switch one out while the other one's getting repaired?
So the Walmart, the old pump had a 2-inch in and 2-inch out because of the grinder. The new ones have a 4-inch in and a 4-inch out. So when they slide down the guide rails, they won't hook up the
Okay,
same.
that's all I wanted to do.
Yes, sir.
I just want to try to save some money on that.
I know.
Right?
And I'll keep racking my brain as a way to save those pumps somehow.
We'll just get money for them, man.
There you go.
Okay? I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion of $90,541.17 to install a fully equipped pump station.
Second. Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Council
Yes.
Vasquez? Council Lucero? Cool.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Number 9, Vector Tractor Forward, piece quick.
This is the 3rd Vector that we are having repaired. The yellow Vector, it was not cost effective to bring the tank and the suction system back to life. And so that has gone to the street department. So we have one large Vector truck, and this is the smaller white Vector truck. So I'm asking for $31,553.47 to repair the tank, the water, and the hydraulic system on the small Vector truck. And this will serve as a backup in case the larger Vector machine goes down.
I could ask them, is the new one still working, the big one?
The big white one is
Yes.
working. Yes, sir.
No problem.
Are they taking care of it?
That's what
Are
I'd
they
like to
taking
know.
care of it?
There's recently been damage to the front hose, and Jacobs has agreed to pay for that damage.
Okay.
So there's a protective sleeve that's supposed to be used. When it's not, it tells right away because the shielding on it gets cut. And so Jacobs has agreed, as per contract, to repair the damages.
They're gonna pay for it.
That's correct.
That's what I want to
Okay,
hear.
and something a little off of that note, since we're on Jacobs, be costing stuff. The Vietnam Memorial.
Yes, sir. Those stones, They're to be picked up either this week or next week. I'll have to get an update, but I heard they're done, and they will get put in by Nathan. He'll do it.
Nathan's gonna put him in, Jacobs ain't gonna do it.
They're gonna pay Nathan.
Say yes.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
say
yes. Yes, sir.
I don't want them touching anything
Joe
on that
Schmo's
memorial.
not-
No more.
Yes, sir.
Okay? After what they did, that's just total disgrace. And that better be reflected in their, in where they're coming up for the renewal in their contracts, because that was just total bull. Okay. Back to the,
I make a motion for $31,553.46 to repair the tank and the water hydraulic system.
for Pete's equipment.
I second.
Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Council Vasquez? Council Lucero?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Next one, Albuquerque Asphalt Paving High Street, Iron, 911 City Hall Avenue, all our good stuff around here.
Thank you. I'm asking for $73,487.30 to contract the paving of the aforementioned street. This council has already approved this, but we did it through CES before. This is actually not a CES vendor, it's through state contract. And so that was a clerical error on my side, and so I apologize for that. And so nothing's changed from before, except that we're going through the state contract. Yes.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the paving for $73,487.30.
Second. Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Council Vasquez? Council Lucero?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Order report. Hello, Kimberly.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm just great. How
I
are you?
am too, now that our audit is finally done and we're gonna have a closeout tomorrow. Hallelujah.
That's what I just
We're not losing money, it's a good day in Cranston, Mexico, guys.
That's what I was just finishing up. I got the last few documents that he needs.
a
And
good
we're having
day,
our exit
Mexico,
conference in the morning,
guys.
so we should be good. My apologies for not getting this to you guys last week, but it got done about until 6.
It's not like you ain't been busy.
Sorry, I'm not sure. So this act, the first one that I handed you, so we were going live with Tyler in January, and so my brain was a little fried. So I completely forgot to get the resolution to approve the second quarter report. And I realized that today as I was preparing the resolution for the third quarter report. So what you have in front of you is a copy of the resolution for the second quarter. And then I went ahead and attached the second quarter report. You guys have already seen it. We talked about it in January, but just to make sure there's no questions, because Brenda's gonna have to get you guys to sign it afterwards.
Any questions on this? Let's go ahead and entertain a motion to approve resolution number 181629 for the second quarter financial report.
And my apologies. Now, this is third quarter report. This is what.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to accept the resolution of the 181629.
Second.
Second.
Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Council Vasquez? Council Lucero? Okay. Now, let's go.
Now we're to date.
Now we're up to date.
So, so on the second page of what I just gave you guys, shows basically where we are for the third quarter. Very good shape. Our total revenues to date are 16.7 million. Our total expenditures, 17.05 million. So leaving us a balance with beginning cash balances and investments of about 12.2 million. If we pull out our reserves, we still have about 11.7 million in savings, I guess is a good way to put it. The fifth column says transfers at the top. That's a one that the state looks at, how much money we're moving in and out of funds. So year to date is $215,000 out of the general fund. Part of that went to the corrections fund, which is right underneath it, as well as the senior citizens fund. You'll see $90,000 a little bit further down. And then kind of in the water enterprise fund, we've taken out $1.2 million, and that's facilitated the capital projects fund of $895,000, the airport of $27,000, and the golf course of $420,000.
Any questions?
and I apologize, I know you guys like to look at this beforehand. Hopefully we'll be better next quarter.
I know we will, because we don't have an audit. We catching up for 5 years worth of audits.
At least.
We have our new software too, more, ready.
So we transfer the seniors fund, transfer the utility fund, airport, the golf course. That's what we always do this time of year, guys. I'll entertain a motion for resolution 181630 for the third quarter financial report.
I make a motion to accept the 181630 for the third quarter.
Second,
Second.
Council Reynolds,
Yes.
Council Vasquez,
Yes.
Council Lucero. Thank you, guys. Very well. Update.
So a couple things, the conversion, biggest and first and foremost. So we went live January 25th with the financial side of things. Utility billing didn't go live until March 25th, so they were about 2 months behind us. And everybody's like, oh, how hard can it be to do a financial conversion? Well, I just wanted to throw some numbers at you guys. Because I have a great staff. We have a great staff in the finance department, and Human Resources was involved in this as far as verifying employee records, and then that crosses over into utility billing. But just some numbers. We had 164 active employees that we needed to bring over to the new system. Some of it was done manually, or some of it was done electronically, like their name, their address, their phone number, their social. But anything that pertained to the new system with payroll, your taxes, your deductions, your health insurance, all that had to be manually entered. So it was approximately 15 to 20 items per employee. That's about 3,500 pieces of documentation that had to be entered and then verified. And that's just on active employees. Then we brought over about 564 terminated employees. Now, we didn't have to bring over everything on them, but for Michelle and HR, for them to be able to look up information, we had to make sure we had their name, their social, their address, their hire date, their term date, and what their last pay was. That ended up to being about 4,500 pieces of information. We missed about 110 employees. They didn't come over in the upload that we did, so we had to manually enter those people. And O'Shea actually helped out tremendously with that. In fact, she did all that part. We had about 851 vendors that we had to bring over. Now again, part of it was brought over through an upload, but it still had to be gone through manually verified. That was about 4,200 pieces of information. Their address, their W-9 number, their I-9, or not their I-9, their tax ID number. Then we have about 1,900 chart of accounts, So we have an account number for all those numbers that are on that list that you just saw. All those are a whole bunch of account numbers that come up, our revenue numbers, our expense numbers. 1,900 account numbers that I had to go through, create, first of all, that's what I've been working on since last summer. Then we had to bring the balances over. Then we had to make sure that the balances came over the right way, which I'm just now in that phase, getting ready to do all this reporting, doing some more verification. We verified the beginning numbers to make sure that our old numbers balance so that our auditors don't flip out when they come back in August. But now it's all this verification. So, thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces of information with these numbers. Then you add utility billing. We have about 3,100 active utility billing customers. Again, 5 to 10 pieces of information per customer, that's about 16,000 pieces of information that we have to upload and then verify, and then a lot of manual entry. So you have some really great finance department and utility billing department and HR people, and I just would really like to let you know that, because this has been an incredible undertaking. And quite honestly, in my naiveness, we can handle it, no big deal. It's a good thing, because if I'd have really thought it through, I'd probably had a heart attack or something. But
You'd probably not took the job.
probably wouldn't have taken the job.
I'm glad you did.
But I just don't think people really understand all that. And
Well, I didn't
the
until
reality
we got
of it
here.
is, the reality of
I
it
didn't
is
until we got here.
our vendors kept getting paid. We had about a 2-week downtime where we didn't pay anybody. Our employees got paid, we didn't skip one payroll. We had a couple glitches, but we got through. And everything kept flowing, in addition to all the other stuff, finishing the audit and everything else that we all have to do. So if you see one of them, you ought to thank them, because they do a hell of a job. They really do.
Michelle,
So,
Melissa, thank you guys very much.
I
Yeah,
just wanted to share that.
as hard as it was.
And thank you very much.
As hard as it was, I think the staff are really happy with the new software. It is so much better for reporting and gathering information, and it's gonna make their life easier in the long run.
We can. It is.
It's quite
It
a
is.
task to transfer.
It is an
over.
incredible software. I'm glad you brought that up because it is absolutely incredible. If there's information you guys want, please don't come ask me for it right away. But if there's not a report that this system can create, I can find it. I can make one. I mean, the reporting capabilities, the tracking capabilities, it's just unbelievable. We've got a long ways to go before we're fully utilizing it, but it's pretty incredible. Anyway, that was the main update I wanted to give. And then the second update was the audit. I just got off the phone with Chris, our auditor, and we're having an exit conference in the morning. Me, Modi, Laura, and myself, and they will get it postmarked April 30th tomorrow, which was our final deadline, and it will be in the mail tomorrow. And then once the OSA gets it and they approve it, then I'll bring it back before you guys to get approval before we can publish it publicly. But the previous auditors who just washed their hands of us finally last August didn't do a very good job. And with my lack of government accounting knowledge, I didn't even know that. So when our new accounting people came in, our new auditors came in August, September, they realized right away there were problems. So I tried my best to figure it out, but I don't have that knowledge. And so in December, we decided to bring in the Loftus Group. And they're another accounting firm or auditing firm, and that's all they do is governmental account auditing. And they have been a tremendous help, and I can't imagine how it's taken them. I think they've billed us probably over 300 hours. And I thought I could figure that out, and they're experts at it. So they have been a tremendous help, and so basically they did all the, I've sent them just thousands and thousands of pages. I know that sounds crazy, but I have thousands of pages going over every single entry that was made all of fiscal year 18. And they've got stuff cleaned up from the past. This goes long before 18. This is from 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it just keeps carrying over. Why no previous auditors ever caught it, I have no idea. That's been my biggest frustration. Why has it never been caught? But it has now because of information I've provided and they figured out. So after we finish the audit now, we're gonna have the Loftus Group come back in because I still have about 10 funds that I haven't moved the balances over into Tyler because they're crap. They're not good balances, and I'm not putting crap into our new system. So they're gonna come back and help me figure out how we're gonna, we can't just make that money disappear. We have to move it strategically and correctly to where it needs to be. And then hopefully, when we get ready for our audit for fiscal year 19, it's gonna be smooth sailing.
I know it is.
So, yeah.
I got faith. After what we've been through, since I took over as mayor 5 years ago, what we've been through, guys,
Yeah.
and now we're here, I'm happy. That's all I can say. I'm very, very pleased with what's come through. Very pleased.
Any questions for finance?
Any questions at all?
Yes, sir.
For our conversation, when you said you were lost and couldn't figure it out, who came in to help you?
The Loftus Group.
One particular person, or was it the whole firm?
No, it's been
It's
a mixture
a
of things.
it's a whole firm. It's 2 people specifically. It's Josh Trujillo and Chandra McCrae is their names from the Loftus Group. They were on site here for probably 8 days total, and then they've done an incredible amount of work from their office. And they have spent, they've been pulling their hair out. Poor Josh, I give him a hard time. He has really, really short buzz cut hair. I'm like, if you keep going, you're gonna lose all that hair. But they, like I said, for them to have taken as long as it's taken to figure it out, because it was just so, holy cow.
The day I talked to
Holy
you-
cow.
The day I talked to you, you were really frustrated, so I need help.
I was borderline tears.
Yes,
I
you
don't
were.
cry easily, but I was like, ah!
I just want to know who people were that stepped up to help you.
Yeah, Josh and Sandra have been incredible, and that's who's gonna come back out,
Okay.
probably towards the end of May after we get the budget finished up,
Okay.
so.
So a year ago, when we had the exit conference with the Council of Governments, they used the Loftus Group. And I was really impressed with them. And so when Kimberly mentioned that the current auditors said that our balances in our records were not what
Not
the
matching.
former auditor had put. And so we needed to clean that up, and so we didn't have time or the knowledge to do that. But the auditor recommended a gentleman, but he was a one-man show, and I said, well, let's call this company. And so they were like, sure, we can come in, and they've been really
And thank
great.
God we did, because I'm sure not only, I think Josh and Chandra were the main two, obviously, but I'm sure they had a lot of resources that the individual person wouldn't have. And I hate not to use small business people like that, but we needed the big guns, and I think we really got them.
We needed to correct it as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Like I said, guys, I am ecstatic. Because when I took over, I knew we had a mess. And it's taken 5 years to get this mess squared away.
And it's probably
I
just
mean,
as a
to be
worry.
honest, we were even nervous about building the library. We knew we had the money, but it was like, do we, or where is it, or?
And you know, and that's one of the things that Chris and I, who's our actual auditor, he and I were talking about, is, you know, I really, and I remember telling you guys this a year ago.
Yeah.
I still don't, there's
No fraud.
there was no fraud, there
Nobody's
was no
stealing
embezzlement,
nothing.
there was nothing like that. It's just people didn't know what they were doing accounting wise. They would put things places that didn't belong. And that's just basic accounting knowledge. You don't even have to
Well,
have
that's a
government.
relief.
You don't even have to have government experience to know that if you have accounting knowledge, and
I'm
they
telling you, it's a
didn't.
relief for this mayor, guys. I'm telling you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It doesn't have to do with this, but you know with the minimum wage increase,
And we have that reflected in the budget.
that was my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you, started
here's-
Yes, we
thinking
have.
about?
Yes,
We have, because
here's what the mayor is thinking about, and I've only told Laura to throw it at her. I want
please
to-
don't say that.
No?
Please don't say it. Please don't, and I'll explain
Okay.
to you in the morning why.
You got
Please don't
it.
say
I
it.
won't.
It's not a good idea.
Okay, I won't say it then.
Thank you. But we have reflected the minimum wage because we'll have to pay our students, we'll have to pay them just like 50 an hour.
Yeah, that's why we got.
But then we'll have to pay, like our seasonal people who work at the golf course and stuff, recreation. But then we'll have to pay our regular employees who make minimum wage now, those will bump up to $9 an hour, starting January 1st. We just have it in the budget starting July 1st. The raise won't happen until then, but that way we'll be covered, we'll have a little cushion there. So we have that included already.
We'll discuss all that tomorrow after
Yes,
the
sir.
closeout.
That would be great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Anything else for her? Rick?
Okay,
Good job to you and your staff.
Thank you.
Thank
Kimberly.
you.
Thank you very much
Thanks, guys.
for putting up with us. Especially me. Next, Ira Vanderver, application for the airport bird. I know this guy, I coached him, he's great. And he's private.
Oh, good.
So I'll entertain a motion for Ira Vanderver for the airport board.
I make a motion. I second.
Second, Councilor Reynolds.
Yes.
Councilor Hopkins, Councilor Lucero. Next one is Seth Ward for the golf course board. I'm gonna need one more. I believe we're gonna have Ralph Lucero reapply for that one. Because he got clearance through his attorneys, and I told him that's up to you. And what they're being counted on, I don't care. I mean, if it was one of our boards, it would be allowed. Okay? So I'll entertain the motion. Go ahead for Seth Ward for the library.
I second. I second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Lucero. The next one is Harriet Trujillo for the senior advisory board.
You've been there a long time.
Been there a while. Harriet Trujillo. Second,
Okay.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Lucero?
Yes.
Next one is Bob Buell, my next door neighbor for the senior advisory board.
Make a motion for Robert Rule.
Second,
Second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Lucero? And the last one is Shirley, she's been there a while too,
I
Shirley
make a
Gonzalez.
motion for sure.
Second,
Second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Lucero?
Yes.
Cool. That almost takes care of all of our boards, I think we need one more for the golf course.
Yeah, the senior advisory board is lacking about 4 members, and they need individuals that live outside of Brent. So if you know of anybody, I asked the clerk to put it in the paper, start advertising, so if you guys know anybody, encourage them.
Comments, Laura?
I wanted to let you all know that next council meeting, we'll be putting the preliminary budget before you. Couple of things I'd like for you to start thinking about is a community group, which I've been a part of. We've been talking about a need to develop what we're calling a sobering center for individuals who are inebriated and they won't take them into the jail until their blood alcohol is below a certain level. And they're taking up space in our hospital and costing quite a little bit of money to babysit either by our officers or the hospital. So we've been working, and I'm going to recommend to the council that the city fund this program for $50,000 and that the hospital chip in another $50,000 and the county another $50,000. And we're looking for a facility that we could house such a program in. Michelle and I went to Farmington and observed their sobering center and was very impressed. We're asking Presbyterian Medical Center to facilitate the program, and the money would go to them as a medical organization to facilitate. So something for us to think about. I know they're putting it before the county. People are calling county commissioners to ask them to support it. Wanted to let Councilor Lucero know that the YCC will be, their first project this summer will be the field at Wells Park. So I'm working with their staff and ours to get the materials, and that's on their slate, so we'll be getting that done. Other things you're going to see in budget recommendations are the lighting for Mesa Park, more lighting, various things that you all have asked for, so we'll be bringing that to you the next council.
Cindy?
No comments.
Manny?
I still would like to see Chaco Street getting repaved for the following year. And I think we need to get the funding on that and get it started. It's been like that for 30 years. They did pave half of it, the other half was never paved. And there is no manholes there, that would be an easy fix. And that's my recommendation for this coming year, everybody.
Rick?
We were talking about finishing up that Riverwalk or starting that project, the trail. Is that trail going to be lit up during the night?
You bet your butt it's gonna be there for all the money we're putting in that.
Are we gonna have Continental Divide put in power, or?
It's actually those little route lights. You see up in little stands and there'll be a light on top. There's several of them along the trail.
And if we need to light it up more, then we'll put it in the budget year after, whatever. But for initial lighting, why don't you go by and see Donovan, he'll show it to you. He'll show you the whole design all the way down.
The reason I say that is because, there's solar LED lighting now that
Repowers itself.
for pathway lighting that has a lot of features that we might want to take a look at. You can dim it down to where, where it's maybe 50%, and as people go up down the trail, it lights up. So there's a motion detection on there. And this is all solar, so, we're saving cost of power. So I think it's just something we can look at.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to meet with you sooner the better because that project is bidding right now, but we could amend the lighting. I mean, that's something small, so I'd like to see what you have on one, and then I'll show you what's in the plans and we'll go from there.
So Donald, I wanted to remind you, some of those amenities could probably be taken out of that Main Street grant.
Yes.
Because that's kind of what we wrote in there. We had got a $95,000 Main Street grant to do things like lighting benches, stuff like that.
That agreement, I tried to get an extension, just like the one you guys just approved, but there was no possibility of an extension. So the first payout, that's the money I'm gonna go after, so
Okay.
hopefully it works out.
Okay.
I don't have anything, except we're gonna be putting the tank in 2 weeks. That's good stuff.
I can hardly wait.
That's good stuff.
Oh, I was like, what tank? Okay, I know what you're talking about.
We'll put the tank in 2 weeks, so it's there for Memorial Day. I did draw my deer hunt, so you'll have to handle the meeting that week, the run hunt. And I'm going to California the first week in June, so I need you to handle that meeting too. I'm going to my son-in-law's graduation. And the reason my face and my hair is looking so scraggly is because I'm growing it out in protest for my daughter going overseas for 3 years. So I'm gonna grow my hair out
So we don't
long.
have to suffer.
I'm gonna grow my beard out long. And when she comes back, I'm gonna go ahead and shave it and raise money for cancer. Probably in the name of Earl Chavez, my good friend that died of cancer. and my mother, who is a breast cancer survivor. So that's my plan. So as I start looking scraggly, please don't tell me to get a haircut, not yet. Not until I have enough to raise a lot of money. And like I said, this is protest because I'm gonna miss my kid, Pat. Okay?
They're trying to get away from you, Bodie.
No, I don't-
Leave them alone, man.
Manny, you know, it's bad. I got 5 kids, and not one of them after August will live in this state no more. I have to go all over the country to see my kids and my grandkids. And I'm not going back to Japan because I've already been there once. So I'm not going back. Okay? On that motion, I'll entertain a motion to shut this down.
Make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Have a good night. Thank you guys for coming.